everybody. Good to see you and be with you again. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to basically take a section from the Zohar and from Rabbi Isaac Luria that discuss the whole aspect of what we call Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year or the Hebrew year, and to well understand it. Again, of course, it's a common question. Why do we call it Rosh Hashanah? Rosh mean head, Shana mean the year. So basically, if you count the calendar, there's two ways to deal with the Hebrew calendar. One is when you count it from Nisan, which is the month of Passover, and one when you count it from Tishrei. There is an argument if the world was created on Nisan or Tishrei, but the common months, according to the Bible, that the seventh month is the month of Tishrei, which is the month of Libra, which is the month of Rosh Hashanah. So the idea when they call it Rosh Hashanah, people bless each other Happy New Year. In a way, it is New Year because if you count the months from Libra, from Tishrei, it's a New Year. But if you count it from Nisan, it's the 7 months, which is called Rosh Hashanah. So the word Rosh means head, Hashanah mean year, not necessarily always mean the beginning, but it's definitely mean the head. We're dealing with the head. Now, what does that mean? Before I'm going into explanation from the Zohar and the Ari to more details, and hopefully I will give more and more lecture about this subject, is to have a full understanding that basically what we're getting from the Hebrew New Year is ability to recreate ourselves, because that happened to be the day that Adam and Eve were created on. So the celebration is the celebration of creation of humanity. And for that reason, on that day, on this specific day called Rosh Hashanah, for 48 hours, human going to be, I want to say judged, because that's really what's happening. Nidonim in Hebrew is called Nidonim, from the word din, judgment. So people will be judged for how long they're going to live, how well they're going to do with the children, how much money they're going to have, and other major area. But this is the three major things that been decided on this powerful day. So it's up to the individual to know what can we do to make this coming 12 months better. There is something we got to do. There is something we got to prepare. There is something that we need to think about. Because without doing the work, there is no surprises. I mean, it's not going to be just okay. People expect things to be just okay, which is wonderful to think positive. I love people who say, I would like to think positive. Well, you can think positive, but if you jump from a building while you're thinking positive, you will just die thinking positive. So thinking positive has to be an additional. It's almost like a spice that you add to the food. It's an additional to the work that you're supposed to be doing. All right? So let's get going. I'm going to get into the books now. Just introduction. First from the Ari to explain about this awesome and important day. So the basic first. In Enoda, we need to remind ourselves and we need to know כי ביום ראש השנה נברא אדם הראשון. Adam, as the famous Adam and Eve, was created at Rosh Hashanah. Was created on that day. So was Adam attached to any religion? The answer is no. He wasn't. So we shouldn't feel like, okay, if I'm Christian, I don't have to do Rosh Hashanah. Every person has to do it. Why? Because we're human. It's called the holidays of human. It's not the holiday of religion. ויום ראש השנה של בריאת העולם היה ביום ו' כנודע. ואם אדם הראשון היה נמנע מן הזיווג ביום ההוא, וגם מן החטא, היה ממתין לליל שבת, כל העולמות כתקנם. The Ari want to teach us something. the accomplish of the physical world as we know it happened on the sixth day of creation. If you go to Genesis, it's very simple. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And then in the sixth day, God accomplished his mission. Again, when I say God accomplished his mission, I'm just using words that the common words everybody else is using. But it's not exactly like that. But I just want to make sure that I'm related to the people who are listening. So, as God created that idea of creating the physical universe, the human was created on the last day of creation, which is Friday, or the sixth day if you want. It says that if Adam was not making love to his wife, and he will be waiting till the seventh day, which is called the Sabbath or Shabbat, then all the universes will be in order. What does that mean? It means that there is a perfect order to this physical universe together with another 4 universes, or 5 if you wish. 4 would be more correct. I mean, I can give the name. The first universe is called Adam Kadmon, which is related to Keter, primordial man, and then Atzilut, emanation, then creation, Bria, then formation, Yetzirah, and then Asiya, the world of action where we live. That's where we are. So that order of the universes or the worlds that we are seeing had to be in perfect order for us to benefit. But whatever we do below affecting the above, and once it's affecting the above affecting us. It says that Adam couldn't wait for that connection, for that intercourse. And that's why things went out of order. And Dari explained, when they did mistake with the snake, and the snake become part of the family, he inject negative energy into Eve, and that's why Cain and Abel came, and that's why Cain killed Abel, because Cain has part of the snake in him, because it was good and bad was mixed. Before that, good and bad was not mixed. Everything was perfectly good or bad, but it was not mixed. The bad was bad and the good was good. So when he sinned and he ate from the tree of knowledge, he ate from the tree that God told him, please don't eat. And that's what caused him to be with his wife earlier, instead of waiting. Why did he have to wait? And what does that mean, the tree of knowledge? And what does that mean, that intercourse? We need to explain it. It's a very important understanding. And the Kabbalists explained to us that one of the things about waiting, we are in a universe, in a time that we don't like to wait for the thing. We want the result to be right away. And because people are waiting for everything to be right away, they're not getting the full manifestation of what the Creator prepared for them. When you grab the fruit a little bit earlier, the taste of the fruit will be bitter. And we don't want to do that. When Adam ate from the fruit that God asked him not to eat, tree of knowledge. Again, what is the tree of knowledge? Why can I eat from the tree of knowledge? Tree of knowledge basically is a concept. It's something that cannot be corrected yet. It needed to wait until the time will be that we can correct it. What does that mean? We need to understand that it's very deep. if there is 4 different cups, just imagine, four different size of a cup. Each cup has different size. And one of that 4 is specifically, particularly so small. This cup is so small that you cannot even see it. If you take those 4 cups and put them in the ocean, they are fulfilled with water. You wouldn't know the difference between the big cup and that last little cup, which is very small. When you dry the ocean, now you definitely will be aware that there is a difference between the big or the largest cup to the smallest one. What happened? What the change that took place? The change that took place is that before the fulfillment disappeared, it seemed like everything is perfectly equal. When Adam and Eve activated the tree of knowledge, good and bad, they've been activated the differences between things that was there but was not appeared to be. And that was the scene of the snake. So when the snake told them, if you will be connected to the tree of knowledge, you will know good from bad, that means that he brought them one level down to show them that bad exists. And they were not aware of those things. So when they did that, and then after this, the intercourse, that happened for the rest of the life, that it will be Rosh Hashanah. So that was Rosh Hashanah. And what happened at that time after he did that? If he would be waiting, not too many hours, by the way, 6 hours, so it will be nighttime, like Friday night or the 6th day night, then we are moving already to Malchut. Remember, the first day of creation is Chesed, those of you who study Kabbalah, and the last day, or the last day of creation is Yesod, the Friday, the 6th day, but the Sabbath is Malchut, it's the manifestation, which means it's accomplished already, it's ready. If he would be waiting for that time, we wouldn't need to do the celebration of Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is a celebration of correcting. It's a celebration that we are supposed to almost like going back before the sin of Adam and Eve. Try to imagine. Like we try to correct that thing. How do you correct it? It's already happened. It's already happened. Well, God is giving us something that's called holidays of Rosh Hashanah. The word holiday in Hebrew is Chag. Chag is like lachug. Like in Arabic they say Hajj. You know, somebody who went to Mecca. Chag is somebody who's going in a circle. Meaning the time is going in a circle. Time is not going linear, like a line. It's going like in a circle. So if it's going in a circle, every year on Rosh Hashanah you're going back to the 6th day of creation before. And then as you're walking into Rosh Hashanah, you get a chance to correct and to choose better, not to go after the snake, not to go after the intercourse, earlier intercourse, not to go after all this damage that was created, that thing that's called Rosh Hashanah. So what are we doing between Rosh Hashanah till the end of Sukkot? We are basically sweetening the judgment that was created from that time. I mean, today we can say 5,000, right? I'm trying to say 5,777 years ago. What are we celebrating? The year from the time of creation of Adam. I mean, was that universes before? Of course, the Zohar talk about it. That God was created, world and destroyed them. That's why maybe they find dinosaur from 20 million years ago. But going back to this story, I mean, next year will be 5,778. Which people asking me, what does that mean? I say, if last year in Hebrew it's called A, Taf, Shin, Ein, Zain, next year will be A, Taf, Shin, Ein, Chet. Ein, Chet is Etz Chaim. So Taf, Shin, Tiyeh, Shnat, will be the year of Tree of Life. Meaning next year on Rosh Hashanah, September 2017, when we walk in Rosh Hashanah, it's for people who choose Tree of Life. You gotta choose. Tree of Knowledge, good and bad, snake. Tree of Life, different story, but for the Tree of Life, you gotta walk. And that's why I'm starting teaching you about Rosh Hashanah right now, because it's not just about Rosh Hashanah, it's about transformation and change. Now, before I'm going to a little introduction of the shofar, I want just to show a different thing that we do before Rosh Hashanah. So, the Ari write, Inyan slichot, the slichot that people are doing, slichot means forgiveness. People are waking up at night, or they do it early in the morning. That people are doing Leil Rosh Chodesh Elul. They start usually in Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur. It says that the Ari used to do it. So it's quite important to do the forgiveness time between Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur, which is exactly 40 days. And when you do that, this is a preparation for Rosh Hashanah and for the sin of Adam. So it says like that. The main thing that we want to think in Rosh Hashanah, when we say Melech Hafetz B'chaim, the God that love life or want life, that draw the life for himself, that's how we're going to draw the life for our soul. So we're telling God in Rosh Hashanah that we want to stay alive. It's the main thing. And to understand that our soul coming from above, and without God giving life to the soul, we cannot be in here. And when we say, remember us for life, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, the God or the King who loves life, it's about our soul. And then when we say Kadvenu, because we say Zachrenu, Zachrenu means remember us, but Zachrenu comes from the word Zachar. Zachar means a male. Kadvenu is more a female. So when we say Zachrenu, when we say remember us, we talk about the soul. When we say write us, we talk about the body. So we need the soul to get the life that the soul needs, and we need the body to get the life that the body stay alive. And he write here, now I'm going to move a little bit to the Zohar. I want to shift gear a little bit. The Zohar in Parashat Emor write that something different. The Zohar approach Rosh Hashanah. And the Zohar write like this. On Rosh Hashanah we blow the shofar. Shofar is basically a horn that coming from ram. And we need to blow 101 time. Now why we need to do it 101 time? 101 time is angels, Michael, but also you have 30 of belong to right column, which is giving, chesed. We have 30 that belong to gvura, okay, which is 30 for gvura, and then we have 30 of tiferet, which is together is 90, and then you have 10 that belong to malchut, the shortened version. Together you have 100. And then in the end you do Tekiah Gedolah, and that's the end of the Tekiot. So this is 101 to wake up the angel Michael, who's normally speak good about us, but it's also, there is orders. Why is it like that? So it say, where do we learn it from? שכתוב, תקעו בחודש שופר בכסה ליום חגנו. You should blow the shofar, בכסה, כסה mean to cover, of our holiday. Now, what does that mean, cover? Cover. So the Zohar go, and the Zohar said, וכבר למדנו, שיום ההוא יום שהלבנה, שהמלכות מתכסה בו. This day of Rosh Hashanah, the malchut is covered, or the moon is covered. We know the moon represents the malchut, and the moon is similar. Okay, malchut is the sphira, and the moon is in the planet. That's what it represents. So what happened when malchut get covered? והעולם נמצא בדין. The whole world is in judgment. משום שמקטרג, because the persecutor מחפר מחזה ונועל הפתח של המלך שהוא זרע אנפין והלבנה, במקום שהדין שורה לתבוע דין העולם. The persecutor allow at that time to cover where the blessing is coming from, and we know in Kabbalah the blessing is coming from Ze'er Anpin, right? I mean, we have Malchut as the receiver, Ze'er Anpin is this pipe where all the energy coming from, and now it's covered. Persecutor is covering it. Why is he covering it? Well, everything in this life is cause and effect. Remember what happened in that day. Adam and Eve did whatever they did, like we mentioned before, and that, because time is a circle, so that happened every year, that there is a cover above the Levana, above the moon. So it's there. So the question that Rabbi Shimon and the Zohar ask in verse 207 by the Zohar of the Sulam, ואם תאמר איך ניתנה הרשות לבקטרד ההוא לכסות על אור המלכות ולתבוע דין? You should ask, or we should ask, or we should raise a doubt, how can that be that there is a permission for the persecutor to cover that light that's supposed to come to Malchut and require judgment? ומשיב, and the answer, אלא ודאי ששם הקדוש ברוך הוא ביד הבקטרי הוא לתבוע דין על כל העולם, שנתן לו יום ידוע. Is it written that Kusha Barichut, that God, the Creator, was giving a permission to the persecutor by choosing a specific day, which is the day of Rosh Hashanah, שיתבע לפניו כל הדינים שבעולם, that he will ask for all the judgment that been required for the world. כי הקדוש ברוך הוא עשה אותו, שם אותו לפניו כדי שיראת הקדוש ברוך הוא תעלף תשרה על הכל. God make that persecutor a force that awaken fear in people, and that fear in people would be basically elevate them to respect and maybe then to love. And that's what written, אלוקים עשה שיראו מלפניו. God created so people would be afraid. What did he do? He made that persecutor, and that persecutor is like the sword, sharp knife, a sword on the whole world, the whole universe. So people will be afraid. And that force is looking for what people doing wrong. And he looking for judgment. And he capture people and kill them, hitting them, make them sick, make them lose money. Like a person who going in front of a judge in a court, and there is payment for everything we do wrong. Now the question is, let's raise some doubts here. What do you think will work better? Do you think that our universe today is better because of that? Meaning, now because people have fear, they no longer do bad things? Or you think because people have fear and people told them not to do that, they do it purposely? How do we want to look at it? I mean, there's no question that that's the best system. But we need to raise doubts so we can prove it is the best system. Not raising doubts about something you read or study, meaning that you don't really want to know, why is it the best? If you run toward the product that you've been introduced to, but you run with all the doubts you have, and the person kill all your doubts and clear your mind from doubts, now you have certainty about the product. Same thing here. Why is it that there is keseh covering the malchut, no more blessing coming from there until Rosh Hashanah, and that persecutor can do whatever he wants toward us for our negative behavior? And the purpose, look what it says, is fear. Why is fear become a contributing for a better life? The Kabbalists explain to us that there is 3 levels of achievement in a spiritual human life. The first aspect is fear. The second level is respect, or they call it ira, or Rav Ashta call it irat haromemut, and awe. And the ultimate level is love. What happened? Let's be honest for a second. You walk in the street and you see a person. The person bothers you. You just push them away and you walk away. You don't have respect or love or fear from them. What if you know that that person you just met will be the one who define your financial success, your health, and your relationship? How would you treat them if you meet them in the street? Now, I'm not telling you you're going to have fear, but you're going to have fear of what you're going to do wrong if those are the people that you meet that define what type of life you're going to have. If you're not, that means you're stupid. I'm sorry to say it. But if you meet a person who defines what type of life you're going to have, and you're not like afraid to do a mistake, that's stupid. It's like I'm telling you, you have 100 minutes to go pick up $1 billion in the desert. You will be excited, but at the same time afraid to do a mistake so somebody else will get there and get the money. So that type of fear we're talking about. That God created a persecutor so we will have the fear not to do the wrong thing. But it's not fear of punishment. It's not fear of that angel. It's not fear of God. It's a fear of understanding there is regulation and rules. You cannot just do whatever you want. You cannot put your finger into the socket and say, I'm sure the electric company will forgive me. You need to understand there is regulation in this universe. And unfortunately, there is cause and effect. Not because somebody don't like you. The opposite. Because somebody like you, they put almost like in a video game, they put all kind of electric shock and bomb and minefield, so you know not to go this way or that way. So God is putting a path, like a video game, to get you to the place which is the ultimate place where you can have pleasure and fun and all those amazing things. But we like to break the rules, but we like to break the wrong rules. So what do? We are going and we're saying, I'm not going to be afraid. You should be afraid. You should be afraid that you might be missed opportunity. But fear itself will not do it. You need to be afraid as a first step. You cannot be afraid forever. You should be afraid that you might do the wrong thing. But then go ahead and try to do the good thing. Being afraid of doing the bad thing, all day long, it's laziness. That's when you don't want to work on yourself. So you got to have that fear, then develop it into, wow, I'm excited, I know it. Now I'm going to walk on that path. And then you develop some respect toward the Creator to understand that the fear He put in you and the fear He put on that path was only to prevent you from going into the wrong places. And that's why you're developing an awe and respect. And then, of course, once the ultimate level is to achieve to love. The Zohar continue, verse 208. It's very similar to a persecutor in the court that allow to tell in front of the judge all the bad thing you did. And then he asks permission to punish them. And we study that their persecutor get a permission to lock the door on the court until he get what he want by judging that human being. Quite scary. ואין רשות לבית הדין לדחות אותו. The court cannot get the persecutor out because God was okay with that setting. Because the Creator wanted the world, the universe, will be by the law, by the judgment, and to understand that there is judgment and there is a judge. The same like happening in the court. Similar to that, make the persecutor that he will come in front of God every Rosh Hashanah. And he will check every human being. Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Africa, North America, it doesn't matter where you are, Australia, New Zealand. Every human being is being judged on that day. And then the persecutor allowed to cover the Zeir Anpin, which is the entrance to the king. והלבנה, the moon, which is Malchut, cover itself until the judgment will take place. So we should raise the next doubts. If God know everything that needed to happen, why would he even go into that process? Because God is above time. You already know what you're going to choose, what I'm going to choose, if I'm going to make it, not going to make it. If we talk about the concept of the Creator, which is above time, we talk about something which is basically have present, past, and future in one capsule. Like everything is known. Still, say the Zohar in verse 209, still God wants everything to happen through din. Din means judgment. What does it mean, judgment? Judgment means no time. Mercy means yes time. So meaning that everything that we do negative has a cause and effect. Cause and effect for something you did 20 years ago you have to pay now, that means there is no time. Because all of a sudden 20 years ago and now become one. That's called judgment. Mercy is when we're stretching out. Whatever you did 20 years ago, don't worry, in 20 lifetime you're going to deal with it. So in 20 lifetime it's become judgment again. So judgment is the cause and effect become one on the same spot. Mercy is when there is a space or time, more specifically, between the cause and effect. But God on Rosh Hashanah, what happened on Rosh Hashanah, is judgment time. 48 hours of presentation of all the negative thing on the table. הכל הוא באופן אחד למעלה ולמטה, ויאמרו הקדוש ברוך הוא מתקן כיסא הדין, משגיח בו וטובי הדין על כל מעשה בני העולם. God is sitting in the chair or the throne of judgment, and the persecutor coming with a file. Everybody, every file represents the action we did, what we say, what we thought. ועדים באים ומעידים על כל מעשה בני העולם. Then he has to bring witness. And those witnesses are coming and say whatever the person did, good or bad. Who are those witnesses? What do we call them? We call them עיני השם המשוטטות בכל העולם. We call that those witnesses the eyes of God. They have a name, the eyes of God. What is the eyes of God? They are traveling everywhere, like eyes, we cannot see it, and they see us with everything we do. כמה הם מול העיניים שאין להם חשבון. כל משפטות בכל העולם ורואים כל מעשה בני העולם. Those eyes, and no limitation. They go from room to room, from place to place, from city to city. In your bedroom, everything. They know every action we did. Verse 211. Woe for those people who don't care, Woe for those people who don't even look into their action. Because those eyes looking at you. It's a little bit nervous, right? I mean, feeling that whatever we do, I know I'm not perfect. So at the time that I'm not perfect, those eyes looking at me. Kind of scary. Weird. So we call them the witness of the king. And they look and they do whatever they do. And they say whatever they say. So they talk, they do, and they see us. And then they go up in front of the king. And the king is sitting on the throne. Next to it is the persecutor. And the persecutor say to the king, you see, told you they're no good. This person did this judgment. And then the witness, only if God asks the witness, is it true? Then they're allowed to answer. But if God doesn't answer the witness, is it true? They're not allowed to speak. It seemed to me like we got to make sure that God will not ask the witness about the bad thing we did, and then we're good. How do we do it? So, verse 212. Everything is written in the house of the king, in a chamber, and that chamber is made from white fire. White fire. And that fire is going in a circle, and a spark of light coming everywhere, and it never stops. In front of that chamber, there is another chamber with the black fire that never stops. Two writers or two scribes are sitting next to the king, and in the moment of judgment, when the witness can talk, been asked to talk, those writers, those scribes, taken from the black fire, no, they take it from the circle of the white fire, and they take it from the black fire, and they write it on the white fire. So it's black over white. And then, verse 213, the king, God, is delaying that judgment. Maybe by that time, those people will change. If they change and then transform and they become better, then they take those notes, meaning the black fire over white fire, and they tear it apart. If not, the king still sitting on the throne, on the chair, and he bring different angels to speak good about that person. And they're standing there, and the announcer keep talking. He did this well. He did this well. Please bring more angels to speak good about this person. If you find somebody who speak good about this person, wonderful. Then that person getting out of judgment. If you cannot find any angels or anybody who can speak good about this person, then that person has to go back to the persecutor and he has to punish him. So that's what's happening in heaven on Rosh Hashanah. What's happening on the table of Rosh Hashanah, we're going to go to the apple and everything maybe next time, but this is when we eat and we have dinner. But the reason I'm doing it today when I'm starting those lectures is to give you an idea of what's happening in heaven on Rosh Hashanah. It's not a joke. This is very serious. Now, of course, another doubt we need to ask, why does God need all this process? ומשיב אלא כדי שלא יהיו פתחון פה לבני העולם. Is to remove people's doubts and mind that everything is in perfect order. And to understand that everything that we see below is an above. Everything and above is below. Meaning, if the way that the court is running here, that's the way that the court is running in the upper world, but with more honesty, of course. So it's very similar. Whatever you see here, you see there. Verse 215. The day of Rosh Hashanah is the day of judgment, and the king sitting on the throne of judgment. And the persecutor, as I said before, cover the entrance to the king to come, and he asked for judgment. And even God loved judgment. Judgment also means honesty and perfection. ניצחה האהבה של בניו לאהבת הדין. Even if God loved judgment and loved truth and loved honesty, love always win. Mercy always win. From God's point of view, mercy and love always win. And when the persecutor come to talk bad about people that are spiritual, that are working on themselves, but they fell this year, that's when God say, blow the shofar. Blow that horn. כדי לעורר אהבה. Because that's a reminder for us, to remind us, not to God, that how much God loves us. The blowing of the shofar is not just for confusing the persecutor or doing something to prevent the judgment, is more. כדי לעורר אהבה ממטה למעלה בשופר ההוא. To remind ourselves how much the Creator loves us. So all what the Creator asks from us to do, blow the shofar, and then even if I'm a God of judgment, and I meant to bring judgment to the world because of your doing, but I love you. Can't help myself, I love you. It's almost like a father and mother who loving their son. Their son misbehaved. The son has to change. Not because it's good for the parents, because it's good for the son. It's good for the daughter. When we come in Rosh Hashanah in front of the king, in front of the master, in front of God, we need to understand it's not about changing myself because now God will be pleased that I'm better. That God will be pleased that he has a better human. That cannot be it. It's just to be more than that. It's just to be the reason for that is because we are now receiving more wonderful things. So when you walk into Rosh Hashanah, it's a must. Must. To have an understanding that God truly loves you. And even the persecutor coming with all the negative things. All what God wants from you, from me, from us, is to have an understanding how much the Creator loves you. Now, of course, those negative behavior need to change. Whatever I did toward myself, toward people, that's got to change. It's got to change. Because if it's not changing, what are we doing here? Think about it. That shofar sound, those of you who never heard it, it's amazing. When the shofar, you blow the shofar, it's going up. Now when you blow the shofar, it's a mix of fire, wind, and water. Water is the moist that comes from the mouth. The fire is the body of the blower, become like fire, his cheek become red from fire. And the hair, the blowing of air toward the shofar, through the shofar, that's the hair. So there is three things. Fire, wind, or fire and air and water, which represent the three sefirot, chesed, gvura, tiferet. ונעשה מהם כל אחד, and that become one sound. And awakening the sound of above, that it is center column. All what we're doing on Rosh Hashanah, we are awakening the balance in the world, which is called center column, which bring together the left column and the right column. Left column being fire, right column being water. You cannot put those two forces together. כשכל ההוא מתעורר מלמעלה ולמטה, אז כל התורות שקורות בקרות מתבלבלים. What happened? When we blow the shofar and we wake up the center column, then the persecutor regard toward us the judgment is being all confused. Now we need to understand that it's not superficial, just get confused. מפני שגר the small מתמעטים, שהוא מקור הדינים. It's a little deep what I'm going to say here. The guard, the keter chokhmah bina of left column. Basically, mitma'atim becomes smaller, which is the cause of judgment, or the core of all judgment comes from there. והרחמים יוצאים מייחוד ימין ושמאל מתגלים. And the unity between right column and left column is being revealed now. This, I have to do a whole lecture just on that, but just the basic of it. Left column is very powerful. Right column is not as powerful as left column. Left column is all the light, but without capacity to capture it. Right column is the light according to the amount of what we can handle. And that's why it's more mercy. It doesn't give you everything, it just gives you whatever you're capable of dealing with. When we remove the Keter Chokhmah Binah, which is the core energy of the left column, because it's the light coming from above to below, meaning the source of everything is from above to below. When we cut the head off, then we have a chance for the Chesed and Gvura to become one. That's actually what happened on Rosh Hashanah. And he continued in verse 217. It said that in this day of Rosh Hashanah, Isaac come by himself. We know this is also the death anniversary of Isaac on Rosh Hashanah. But what does that mean? דהיינו שכף שמאל שולט. Left column is controlling Rosh Hashanah. No right column. No center column. And he's calling Esau. Isaac and Esau, remember? Isaac and Esau, the story? He's calling Esau. Who Esau representing the story? The dark side, the persecutor. And he's making him food. He's making him food. Why? Because at that time, the eyes of Isaac, it become basically, ותיקן עיניו מראות, become blind. Because the persecutor is there. So the Zohar in verse 217 in Parashat Emor is helping us to understand that whatever story happened in the Bible is corresponding to something that happened later. Meaning the whole story of Isaac becoming blind and Esau basically try to fool his father, because if you remember the story said that Isaac sent Esau to go make him food, and then Yaakov stole the opportunity and he did the food. There is a code there, it's coded. So why was he blind? He was blind because he was talking to Esau, he's talking to the persecutor. But don't forget, Isaac represents left column. And any line on the bed of judgment, as it says the story, and he called his son Esau, which is the dark side, the persecutor. And he said to him, go hunt me some animals so I can eat and bring it to me. What does that mean? So in that story, the code is that Isaac sending Esau, which is a persecutor, and said, go capture different judgment, different things that people do, and bring it to me as a food. Again, don't judge Isaac. It's just symbol that the Zohar is helping us to understand the Torah in a better way, so we can truly understand what happened in the story. So Isaac sending Esau. Esau represents the dark side, who collecting all the negative thing to bring it into to the court and make food from it. Meaning, food doesn't mean food. Food means so we have some files on people. Rivka, the wife of Isaac, which is Malchut, go to her son, the one that she loved, and she tell him, wake up and go cook for your father. And Jacob wake up and cook for his father. What is he doing? He pray. He asked, How do we know that? Because when Isaac was about to bless Jacob, what does he say? Akol kol Yaakov vayadayim yedei Esav. The voice sounds like Jacob, but the hand feel like Esau. What does that mean? Akol kol Yaakov. The sound is the sound of Jacob. It means the sound of the shofar that he elevated. And then when Yaakov elevated, which is center column, to Isaac, and he gets closer to him, then Isaac can unite with Avram, because Isaac cannot be united with Avram. Avram is the right column, is the water. Isaac is the left column, is the fire. You cannot put them together. That's why if you remember the first time Avram and Isaac are yachdav together, when is it? In the binding. Very good. When he bind Isaac. So this is a code. This is nothing to do with some story about three major, amazing, righteous people in the Bible. We talk about presentation of the three-column system that we're supposed to accomplish on Rosh Hashanah. נתעורר יעקב העליון שהוא קו אמצעי אליו ליצחק ונקרב לו. דהיינו שמייחד אותו עם אברהם שהוא ימיד. ויגש לו אור ויוכל. He bring him food. To include with him. And then, וכיוון שיכנן לבו קו אמצעי, ויבא לו יין, אחת החוכמה, המאירה ממטה למעלה, מתוקנת על ידי קו אמצעי. And now he revealed to him something that's called התעוררות מלמטה. We know that Kaf small, left column, which is very powerful, is light that's coming from above to below, meaning blessing coming from above to below, with no limitation. And that's what we call judgment. There is another awakening, it's coming from below to above, not from above to below, which is Orda Kasadim, light of mercy. So the mercy is happening when we do act of goodness and wonderful thing toward others, and judgment has been revealed when we ask him things for ourselves. Isaac was representing the left column. When Jacob came there, by giving that food, again, I don't want you to relate to the name just because Jacob is the son, Isaac is the father. It might confuse you. Emotionally, it doesn't sound great. But we got to relate to the kavim, to the columns here. So they give him the wine, which is perfect wine of elevating from below to above. And then it says, he smell his clothing. What is that? Clothing. Clothing means, say the Zohar, the tfilot v'bakashot. The pray and the meditation and the requirement that elevated to the upper world. And then he bless him. He blessed him because at that moment judgment is no longer exist and there is only happiness. And it's all mercy. I'm continuing, 2:19. And because now everything is with Yaakov, with center column, all the judgment has to go away. And cannot be found. And it's all become perfect. And then Israel is coming out of the judgment with happiness and with blessing. Like Jacob get out of Isaac with happiness and with a blessing. And as he left Isaac, then Esau come, if you remember the story, Esau come and say, hey, what about me? ויעש גם הוא מטעמים. מטעמים can be like the word ta'anot. לטעון ta'anot. What is לטעון ta'anot? Complain. He come with complain and witnessing. And he said to his father, your left column. Esau said, wake up and eat with all the negative things that people did. 220 in the Zohar. ויחד יצחק חרדה גדולה מאוד. יצחק was fear and panic, was afraid. כי לא היה יכול להיפרד מכללו של יעקב שהוא בשמחה. He said, listen, I am left column, and as a left column person, I'm more connected to Esau. I'm more connected to the judgment. But now, after Yaakov met me, and he combined me with the three-column system, I'm no longer can do a lot now about judgment. Because I'm a part of a machine that's called right, left, and center. And Yaakov is only happiness. And then he said, if you read the Bible, who is this one who bring me again pray and requirement and meditation? and I will bless him, and I will also give him a blessing. And at that moment, Esau screamed, because he realized whatever he captured has no meaning. And that's why Esau was chasing Jacob to kill him, because he knew when Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham are united, the dark side has no room. And Jacob is going between those days, between Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur, and he's running away from Esau every year. חוזר בתשובה, משים עצמו בתענית השבת יום הכיפורים, and Jacob working on himself with praying, with fasting, with meditation. And Esau is keep looking for him with persecutor. And Jacob is just crying and yelling and praying and meditating and blow the shofar and begging his father Isaac to help him. And then when he meet the persecutor, he give him, like it's saying in the story, the goat, and a specific thing, because again, it's a code, what it means. And like this, the persecutor is kind of becoming useful for Jacob even. Verse 223, then Esau become the protector of Jacob. But Jacob didn't want not from his honey and not from his sting. Because we say in Hebrew, lo medufshech velo meoksech. When you meet a bee, the bee can give you honey, but the bee can sting you. So you say, I don't want your honey, I don't want your sting. And that's what Jacob said, why don't you go in front of me and go on your path and leave me alone. When is this happening? It says it's happening b'shat tfilat hane'ilah. In the last prayer in Yom Kippur called tfilat hane'ilah, the prayer of the Ne'ilah. At that time Esau is leaving Jacob, כי אז נפרד מהם הקדוש ברוך הוא סולח לעבודנו ומכפר עליהם. At that moment, no longer judgment can be above people. So you have before Rosh Hashanah, the 10 days of Yom Kippur, and then you're forgiven. רוצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לסלוח עם בניו, מה כתוב, ויעקב נשא סוכת ולא בית. Right after this, what is it written in the Bible? All coded. Yaakov left and he built a place in Sukkata. Sukkata like Sukkot. And that's why he called the place Sukkot. And that's why we're doing Sukkot right after the celebration of Yom Kippur and the prayer of the Ne'ilah, to show that we've been saved from the persecutor and God is happy with his children. Good for us in this world and in the upper world. We'll continue next time. Thank you.